Hey guys, so this is going to be my September wrap-up and my October TBR, sort of. Once again, not exactly sure what I'm going to read in October, but I have a few ideas on what I want to read. I actually tried to film this video once already, last weekend, but it was like the third video. I tried to film in one day, and like sometimes that happens, I just wasn't as coherent as I would have liked it to be. So I'm going to try to film it again. So the first book I read in September was, well, I started it in August, but finished the vast majority of it in September, and that is Storm of Swords, and this was perfect, really. It was amazing on every level, shocking on many different occasions, as I'm sure you know, if you've read it already, which most people have, I think. But yeah, this was fucking amazing. Definitely the best in the series so far. One of the funnest. I was so upset at some of the things that happened a lot of the time, but then I realized later on, like, they're like the best like little steps towards the overall story. And like overall, I'm really, really happy with the direction that the series is going in, and I can't wait to finish it. And hopefully when I finish it, I won't have to wait that long for the last book to come out, like everybody else has had to. So, well, not the last book, the next book, because there's still 2 more books, I think. This was amazing, and I'm so glad to be reading the series, and I'm so glad with the direction that this book took it in, despite being very upset with it very often. The second book I read in September was The Wastelands, which is the 3rd book in the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. This was also amazing, definitely the best book in the series so far. If you've not read the series and you like fantasy, like you love fantasy, you really should. It feels like not a lot of people have read this series, even people that really love the fantasy genre, and this is unique, really big fantasy series that I think needs more attention on BookTube in general from fantasy readers, because it's like this really great, imaginative, dark fantasy that just goes in the weirdest directions. It's one of the weirdest series. Like, there's so many weird ideas in it that would be very hard for someone to pull off, but Stephen King somehow pulls it off because just the way he writes it is just, it just seems so like unfiltered. I don't know if that, I can't really explain it. It just seems like it's just coming out of his mind in a very pure form, a very dark, pure form, if that makes sense. That like, it's amazing. I love it. I love everything about it, and I can't wait to see the direction that it goes in. This book is very different. Every single book in the series has been very different so far. The first book kind of sets up the very beginnings of our understanding of this world and of the journey that the main character Roland is going on, and the second book kind of introduces a whole bunch of new elements and possibilities that definitely are very strange. There are a lot of weird things going on in this universe that he's building in these books, and then this one just kind of builds on that. It kind of continues the journey that started in the first book, but with all of the new strange things that were brought up in the second book. So it's kind of like a mix between the first and second book, but taking it in this really great direction. And if you like fantasy that really takes the characters on a journey, that has like this group of characters going on a journey to something, that's pretty much what the series is the main character Roland, who is the last gunslinger in this world called Midworld, trying to go after the Dark Tower, which we don't necessarily know what it is. It's kind of described as like this thing that holds together, that is the center of all time and worlds and universes and everything. It is basically like the center of everything that exists, and it's a really difficult concept to grasp, and it's really difficult to see how the series is going to end at this point. I mean, obviously they're probably going to get to the tower at some point, but it's a huge mystery as to what is even going to happen when that comes about, and what is going to happen on the way there. Because, I mean, there's still 4 more books left in the series, and I honestly have no idea where it's going. And I really like that a lot, actually. It works. It really works, and I really think more people should read it. I'm definitely going to be talking about the series a lot in the next few months as I finish the series. I'm going to be doing several videos on this series that I have kind of planned in my head, and so I hope you'll look forward to that, because more people should be reading it, because it's amazing. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Stephen King fangirl. So the next book after that, I wanted to kind of take a break from fantasy for a couple books just because I've been reading so much lately and I have so much other stuff on my shelf. So I decided to read Night Film by Marisha Pessl. Lovely little mystery thriller kind of thing going on. Really, really like this a lot. 4 to 4.5 stars. It basically follows this journalist who is writing about this filmmaker, a very, very mysterious filmmaker who no one really even knows what he looks like, or even if he's a real person. There's theories about him that he's like he's actually his assistant, or something like that. Like, he's very, very mysterious, and he has this mysterious estate where he lives, and he shoots all of his films there, and like there's this whole cult surrounding him and all of his movies. And we basically follow this journalist as he tries to uncover some certain things about this filmmaker after the filmmaker's daughter it seems like she's killed herself. Most people believe that she actually has. Some people aren't sure, and basically the journalist is trying to figure out what the real story behind this filmmaker, his name is Cordova, but it's basically trying to figure out what is behind him in his story. And it's a really good book. I really like it. There are certain sections that I could have done without. I can't really talk about this book that much without spoiling anything. It's kind of one of those books where if I say too much about it, I'll be spoiling something. But I really, really enjoy this book a lot. I might do a full review on this. I haven't sat down and like thought about what I would say in a full review or anything, but I'm thinking about doing a full review because I really think it's really good. I really enjoyed it. There's it's one of those books, if you haven't seen it before, that has like all of these different elements to it, like web pages and photographs, and like there's a phone app where if you scan certain pages on this book with the phone app, it'll give you like extras, like recorded extras, like different interviews with different characters and music. Sometimes it's just, it really adds a lot to the book. Sometimes stuff like that doesn't add to the book, but in this book's case, there's just so much that just, I really feel like it actually adds a lot to the overall vibes of the book. And I was really, really, really happy with the direction that it eventually went in. Some people don't like the ending, and the book actually went in this direction. There's this direction that I really wanted the book to go in, and it kind of went in that direction for like a second, and I was like, yes, this is the direction I wanted to go in, and then it kind of stopped going in that direction almost immediately after that. And I was a little bit iffy about it, but then at the end I actually thought the ending was very well done. I thought the ending had a certain kind of beauty to it. I really enjoyed it a lot. I know some people didn't like the ending, but it's definitely one of those books where you either love the ending or you hate the ending. But overall, the journey throughout the book was a lot of fun. I honestly couldn't put the book down. I just love little mystery thrillers like that, and the way Marisha Pessl wrote it and the way she incorporated the extras within it really worked for me personally. So if you have not read that book, you definitely should give it a shot, and October would be a great month to do that, I think. So then after Night Film, I read Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut. I did a full review on this. I'll put a link to it in the description if you want to watch it. Kurt Vonnegut is easily becoming one of my favorite authors now. I'm going to be reading everything he's ever written at some point. I have several books in my Amazon cart right now that I want to buy at some point. I always do that. Even if I don't necessarily want to spend money on books at the moment, I always like go on Amazon and like add books to my cart, even if I don't plan on buying them at that moment. So there's like a whole bunch of books in my Amazon cart right now, including 4 books by Kurt Vonnegut: Mother Night, Player Piano, Breakfast of Champions, and one other I can't remember right now. But I really want to read all of his books, and I want to get them all in like these editions because I really like these editions. And the only reason I want to get them on Amazon is because they're a lot cheaper on Amazon than to get them in a bookstore. They're like $15 for each of these like little books in a bookstore, and I find that to be ridiculous personally, but I love Kurt Vonnegut's writing. Go watch my review to see why I loved it and why I love Kurt Vonnegut. Overall, his writing is just something that just really hits home with me, though. And then I also read The Stranger by Albert Camus as another one of my little breaks from fantasy. This book, I wanted to do a full review on this, but I decided not to. I think I'm going to wait until I read it again to do that, because I feel like I need to get a better understanding of it before I can talk about it more. The first half of this book, I think probably the first half, maybe a little bit more than the first half, made me very, very uncomfortable, but I feel like it is very successful for doing that. The main character is just so detached from everything. It's basically about this guy who is just kind of living his life, and he doesn't really have any hard feelings towards anything. It's so jarring and so unnatural the way he thinks. Like, it's from his first person perspective, so you see into his mind and his thoughts. It's just really seems very easy to become uncomfortable reading from his perspective, because he just kind of seems like this weirdly sociopathic, like, really, I don't know, it's just really weird. And then the last part of this book, really, something about it really connected. I think it's something that I really need to read over again. It's so short that I could just read it again pretty fast at some point, like maybe a couple months, and then I'll try to do a review on it. There's just so many different themes that it explores that I really feel like a second reading will help me with. Definitely worth thinking about more, and I'm hoping to do that very soon. And I'll talk about it more when I do that. So that's all I read in September, and then I started reading at the very end of September. I started reading with Lindsay and Sarah and Sana, Red Seas and Red Skies by Scott Lynch, the second book in the Gentleman Bastard series, after Eliza Locke-Lamora, and I finished this already. I finished it on Friday, and it was amazing. I love everything about it. A few people have asked me if they weren't necessarily that into the first book, if they would like this one better, and I would say that yes, I think that is the case. If you didn't like the first book as much as you hoped you would, then I think you would like this one a lot better. It's a very different kind of book, and explores the world a lot more. It explores the characters in a really nice way. I really love the way this book was done. This book is really a book, in my opinion, about friendship, and it's very refreshing. It's very refreshing as a story as a whole. To look at it as a whole and see the different things that it values as a whole. It felt really nice at the end to look back and see everything that I had just gone through while reading it, and in general I just think it is a very, very good sequel to the first one. If you liked the first one a lot, if you love the first one, you'll probably end up liking the first one better than this one, but there's a section in this book that I find to be better than like both of the books. It's like, if you look at both of the books together, there's one section in this book that is better than anything in both of the books, and the one section is like a huge chunk of the book. So I mean, it's not like it's a little section, but that one section is better than anything in both of the books. But as a whole, this book is a great sequel. Really, it's a great continuation of the series, and I can't wait to read the third one. And I might be reading that with Lindsay and Sarah and Sana at some point in the future. I really want to. I really want to see where this series goes, because I love the main character. Locke-Lamora is probably one of my favorite protagonists of all time, honestly. He is amazing, and I love everything about him. So then, the book I'm reading right now that we're several days into October, is Deathless by Catherine M. Valente. I've been wanting to read this for a while, and I kind of had a little break in between books that I was planning on reading, so I decided to start reading this. I'm not that far into it yet, but I am really liking it so far. I'm really liking the writing style. It is really weird, not gonna lie. Really strange, but I really like it. I really like the strangeness of it. I think I'm going to end up liking it even more as I get through it. Hopefully I will have the time to do a full review when I'm finished with it, because I feel like it's a book that I'll have a lot to say about at the end. I really like the direction it's going in. I really like it a lot. Then after that, I'm going to be reading Warbreaker with Lindsay and Sarah. Cosmere book by Brandon Sanderson. Can't wait. One of the only ones I haven't read yet. This and Elantris. I still have to read Elantris. Don't know when I'm going to get to that. Probably not until maybe like next month or something, but reading this as soon as I finish Deathless, or maybe even before I finish it, probably either later tonight or tomorrow. Really excited to be reading this, finally. Standalone, in the Cosmere, completely different world from any of the worlds that I've experienced so far in Brandon Sanderson's work. Can't wait to see what this world is all about, what the magic system is all about, and what the characters are all about in this one. Just really excited in general. And there are two books I really hope to start getting to this month, and that is the fourth book in Dark Tower, Wizard in Glass. It's a huge book though, so I'm not sure if I'm going to finish it this month. And A Feast for Crows, which is also a fourth book. I've heard that this one is not as good as the third one, but I've also seen people like this even better than the third one. But I don't know, I guess we'll see. I really like the direction the series is going in, so I'm really hoping to love this one as much as the other ones. And then I also want to try to read other things that are not fantasy, once again, like I tried to do last month. Possibly might read All the Light We Cannot See this month. Might read, I don't know what else I might read. I might read Ready Player One. possibly. I'm not completely sure. I'm gonna just kind of go with the flow, let's see what I feel like reading at the time whenever I'm done reading Warbreaker. I'm not exactly sure what I'll get into right after I finish that one, so I think that's all I wanted to say. If you've read any of this stuff, definitely let me know what you think. If you think there's something I should read in October that you know I have, then definitely give me that suggestion. I'd love to hear it. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with more.